1953, Iran had a democracy, a parliament, free elections, a prime minister chosen by the people. His name was Mohammad Mossadegh, Time magazine's Man of the Year in 1951. He committed one crime: he nationalized Iran's oil, took it back from British control. The punishment: the CIA and British intelligence staged a coup, overthrew the government, installed a dictator. The operation was called Ajax. It cost $1 million. It destroyed a democracy. For 60 years, the U.S. government denied it happened. 2013, the CIA released declassified documents. They admitted everything. The military coup that overthrew Mossadeq was carried out under CIA direction. This is how America and Britain destroyed Iranian democracy for oil. 1951, Iran was not what most Americans imagined. It had a constitutional monarchy. The Shah was the king, but he didn't rule alone. Iran had a parliament, the Majlis, elected by the people. And in 1951, the people elected Mohammad Mossadegh as prime minister. Mossadegh was 69 years old, educated in Switzerland, a lawyer, a nationalist. He believed Iran's resources should belong to Iranians. For decades, Iran's oil had been controlled by the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, AIOC, British-owned, British-run, British profits. The deal was simple: Britain extracted Iran's oil. Iran got 16% of the profits. Britain kept 84%. Iran was sitting on one of the world's largest oil reserves. Its people were poor. Britain was getting rich. Mossadegh said, "No more." In March 1951, the Iranian parliament voted to nationalize the oil industry, take back control, pay fair compensation to Britain, but Iran's oil would belong to Iran. Mossadegh became a hero. Iranians celebrated in the streets. Time magazine put him on the cover, Iranian nationalist Mossadegh. Britain was furious. Prime Minister Winston Churchill called it theft, an insult to the British Empire, a communist plot. It wasn't communist, it was nationalist. Mossadegh wasn't a Marxist. He was a Democrat who wanted Iran to control its own resources. But Britain didn't care about the distinction. They wanted their oil back. And they were willing to destroy a democracy to get it. 1951, Britain tried everything short of war. They imposed an oil embargo. No country could buy Iranian oil without facing British retaliation. Iran's economy began to collapse. They froze Iranian assets in British banks, millions of pounds, locked. They sent warships to the Persian Gulf, a show of force, intimidation. Mossadegh didn't back down. He went to the United Nations. He gave a speech defending Iran's right to its own resources. The world listened. Some even agreed. Britain realized economic pressure wasn't enough. They needed regime change. MI6, British intelligence, began planning a coup, code name Operation Boot. The plan: bribe Iranian military officers, pay off politicians, use propaganda to turn the public against Mossadegh, then stage a military takeover. But Britain had a problem. They didn't have the resources. The British Empire was collapsing, post-WWII, bankrupt, overstretched. They needed help. They turned to the Americans. 1952, MI6 approached the CIA. The pitch was simple: Mossadegh is a communist. If he stays in power, Iran will fall to the Soviets. The entire Middle East will follow. It was a lie. Mossadegh wasn't a communist. He had even suppressed Iran's Communist Two-Day Party. But it worked. President Harry Truman refused to help. He told the British, "We don't overthrow democracies." Then in January 1953, Dwight Eisenhower became president. Eisenhower was different. He believed in covert action, containment of communism, whatever it takes. His Secretary of State was John Foster Dulles. His CIA director was Allen Dulles, brothers. Both had business ties to oil companies. In March 1953, MI6 presented Operation Boot to the CIA. Allen Dulles approved it. The CIA renamed it Operation Ajax. The coup was on. The plan was elaborate: bribery, propaganda, fake protests, assassinations. And the man chosen to lead it, a CIA agent with a famous name. Kermit Roosevelt, Jr., grandson of President Theodore Roosevelt. He would orchestrate the overthrow of an entire government from a basement in Tehran. This is how it happened. July 1953, Kermit Roosevelt arrived in Tehran. He came in secret, no official cover, just cash, lots of it. The CIA had authorized $1 million for the operation, equivalent to $11 million today. Roosevelt set up a command center in the basement of the U.S. Embassy. From there, he coordinated the entire coup. Step 1: Propaganda. The CIA recruited Iranian journalists. They paid them to write articles attacking Mossadeq, accusing him of being a communist, a dictator, a danger to Islam. The articles appeared in major Iranian newspapers, totally fabricated, but they looked real. The CIA also created fake communist propaganda, posters and pamphlets that claimed to support Mossadeq but were designed to make him look like a Soviet puppet. It worked. Public opinion began to shift. Some Iranians started to believe Mossadeq was dangerous. Step 2: Bribe the military. Roosevelt met with Iranian General Fazlollah Zahedi. Zahedi was a rival of Mossadeq, ambitious, corrupt, perfect for the CIA's plan. The CIA paid Zahedi and other military officers hundreds of thousands of dollars. In exchange, they agreed to support the coup. Step 3: Get the Shah's approval. Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi was Iran's king, but he was weak, indecisive, afraid of Mossadeq's popularity. The Shah didn't want to sign the order to dismiss Mossadeq. He feared backlash, revolution. Roosevelt pressured him. MI6 pressured him. Finally, on August 13th, the Shah signed 2 royal decrees. One decree dismissed Mossadeq as prime minister. The other appointed General Zahedi as the new prime minister. The coup was supposed to happen on August 15th. But it failed. The first coup attempt was a disaster. Mossadeq found out. He arrested the coup plotters. The Shah fled the country in panic. The CIA thought it was over. Operation Ajax had failed. But Kermit Roosevelt wasn't ready to give up. He had one more plan. And this time it would work. August 16, 1953. The first coup failed. The Shah fled to Baghdad, then to Rome. Mossadeq arrested dozens of conspirators. In Washington, CIA Director Allen Dulles ordered Roosevelt to abandon the operation. Pull out. Come home. Roosevelt refused. He stayed in Tehran. He still had money. He still had contacts. And he still had General Zahedi hiding in a CIA safe house. Roosevelt came up with a new plan: create chaos, make it look like Mossadeq was losing control, then send in the military to restore order. Step 1: Hire thugs. The CIA paid street gangs, criminals, and unemployed men to stage riots in Tehran. Some were told to pretend to be pro-Mossadeq communists. Others were told to pretend to be pro-Shah nationalists. Both groups were actually working for the CIA. On August 19th, the riots began. Hundreds of paid agitators flooded the streets. They attacked shops, burned cars, smashed windows, shouted slogans. The violence looked spontaneous, but it was choreographed. The CIA orchestrated every move. Step 2: Media manipulation. CIA-controlled newspapers published headlines: chaos in Tehran, Mossadeq losing control, communist mobs threaten Iran. None of it was true, but it created the perception of instability. Step 3: Military coup. While riots distracted the police, General Zahedi emerged from hiding. CIA-paid military units loyal to him moved into position. At 2:00 p.m., tanks rolled into Tehran. They surrounded Mossadegh's residence. Mossadegh's supporters tried to defend him. Gunfire erupted. At least 300 people were killed in the fighting. By 5:00 p.m. it was over. Mossadegh's residence was overrun. He escaped over a back wall but surrendered the next day. General Zahedi declared himself prime minister. He went on national radio. Order has been restored. The communist threat has been defeated. There was no communist threat. The whole thing was a CIA fabrication. The Shah returned from Rome. He was reinstated as Iran's king. But now he had absolute power. No more democracy, no more parliament control. Iran's brief experiment with democracy was over. And the CIA had done it, for $1 million and 3 weeks of work. The coup succeeded. Mossadegh was arrested. The Shah became a dictator. But what happened to Iran's oil, the whole reason for the coup? That's where the story gets even darker. September 1953, Mohammad Mossadegh was put on trial. The charges: treason, plotting against the Shah, threatening national security. The trial was a sham. The verdict was predetermined. Mossadegh was found guilty. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, followed by house arrest for life. He died in 1967, isolated and forgotten. Meanwhile, the Shah consolidated power. With CIA backing, he created SAVAK, the secret police, one of the most brutal intelligence agencies in the world. SAVAK tortured dissidents, imprisoned journalists, executed political opponents. Thousands were killed. Tens of thousands were imprisoned. The U.S. supported the Shah fully. Weapons, training, money. He was America's ally, a bulwark against communism. And the oil. In 1954, a new consortium was created to control Iran's oil. The Anglo-Iranian Oil Company got 40%. American companies got 40%. Royal Dutch Shell and French companies split the remaining 20%. Iran got a better revenue share than before, but it didn't control its own oil. The coup wasn't about communism. It was about oil, always. For 25 years, the Shah ruled Iran as a dictator. Modernization, westernization, but zero freedom. Resentment grew. The Iranian people remembered Mossadegh. They remembered democracy. They remembered the coup. And in 1979, the revolution came. The 1979 Iranian Revolution wasn't random. It was a direct result of the 1953 coup. The Shah fell, the Ayatollahs rose, and U.S.-Iran relations collapsed. All because of Operation Ajax. 1979, Iran exploded. Decades of dictatorship, brutal repression, SAVAK torture, corruption. The Iranian people had enough. Protests began in 1978. Millions took to the streets. They chanted, "Death to the Shah, death to America." Why America? Because Iranians knew. They knew the CIA put the Shah in power. They knew America supported his dictatorship. They knew about Operation Ajax. It had been an open secret in Iran for decades. While the U.S. government denied involvement, Iranians remembered. In January 1979, the Shah fled. Again. This time he never returned. Ayatollah Khomeini returned from exile. An Islamic revolution. The Shah's secular dictatorship was replaced by a theocratic one. In November 1979, Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. They took 52 American hostages, held them for 444 days. Why? They demanded the U.S. return the Shah for trial. They called the embassy the den of spies because the CIA had used it to plan the 1953 coup. The hostage crisis defined U.S.-Iran relations for the next 40 years. Sanctions, frozen assets, diplomatic isolation. But it all traced back to 1953. If the CIA hadn't overthrown Mossadegh, would Iran have become a democracy? Would it have remained a U.S. ally? Would the Islamic Revolution have happened? Impossible to know, but the coup removed that possibility. The CIA destroyed Iran's democracy. The consequence was 26 years of dictatorship, followed by 40-plus years of theocracy and hostility. And for 60 years, the U.S. government lied about it. For decades, the CIA refused to admit involvement, even after journalists uncovered the truth, even after Iranian and British documents confirmed it. But in 2013, the truth finally became official. 2000, the New York Times published CIA documents leaked by a former agent. The documents detailed Operation Ajax, the planning, the bribes, the fake riots. The CIA refused to confirm or deny. 2009, President Obama gave a speech in Cairo. He acknowledged, in the middle of the Cold War, the United States played a role in the overthrow of a democratically elected Iranian government. It was the closest thing to an admission, but still vague, still no official confirmation. Then, in 2013, the National Security Archive filed Freedom of Information Act requests. They pressured the CIA to release the documents. In August 2013, the CIA finally released declassified documents from Operation Ajax. The documents confirmed everything. Page 1 of the internal CIA history. The military coup that overthrew Mossadegh and his National Front cabinet was carried out under CIA direction as an act of U.S. foreign policy. No ambiguity, no spin. The CIA admitted it. They overthrew a democratically elected government. They installed a dictator. They lied about it for 60 years. And the consequences still unfolding. U.S.-Iran tensions, the nuclear program, sanctions, proxy wars in Syria, Iraq, Yemen. All of it traces back to 1953, to Operation Ajax, to oil. This is mysterious archive files. Operation Ajax destroyed a democracy, for oil, for power, for geopolitics. And the CIA admitted it, 60 years too late. If you want more declassified secrets, subscribe. More coups, more lies, more consequences. Comment below. Do you think the 1979 Iranian Revolution would have happened if the CIA hadn't overthrown Mossadegh in 1953? Let me know, because this isn't just history, this is cause and effect, and we're still living with the consequences. Next episode, Operation Condor, South America's Death Squad Alliance. CIA-backed state terror across 6 countries, 60,000 plus killed. Declassified documents reveal Kissinger's approval. You won't believe what they did. See you then.